You are an artist. You're an artist if you choose to be. So what's all this about? Well, all this is about, I just saw a YouTube video by a YouTuber that I really like. But they were going on about like how I think, I didn't actually get all the way through the video. The gist of it was that this title of artist is not something that you should claim for yourself. It's something that is kind of like a badge of honor that you earn in some way through, I don't know exactly what way, society, I guess. But I would push back on all of that pretty hard, really, because there's a fundamental problem with that way of thinking that goes right down to the base of what it is to be an artist and artistry and the work of artists. And it's a problem to me, because I would say, in contrast to that idea, that you don't need any kind of permission or in any way to have bestowed upon you the title of artist. It's not some sort of title of respect or admiration or recognition that that you have to earn even in any way. And this idea that the title artist is some kind of a very special title is precisely, in my view, what's wrong with art in general. It's wrong with a lot of different things, like the fashion world, or many things where you could say a creative component is in it, and you hear this word, the creatives, and that gets to the heart of what is the problem too. It's all speaking to the same thing. It's this idea that there's some kind of special, highfalutin, otherworldly sort of elevated status of artists and artistry and the work of artists. And I think if you view it in that way, it becomes understandable why people think that they need some kind of permission to be elevated to the status of artist. Why they can't just say, like, I'm an artist. Why sometimes people get hung up on that, and then other people have a problem with other people saying they're an artist. To me, this is all completely backwards. I would say this: if you choose to take the long way home on your drive, or you choose to take the scenic route, that's a creative choice. It's a creative decision. And I'm not the only person to know that. Rick Rubin, in this fantastic book, I think I might have gotten that example from him, either him or Brian Eno, because Brian Eno has also spoken about the same thing. That, for example, like if you have in any way a preference for the way that your hair is styled, that's a creative choice. You all of a sudden are a creative. If you have any preference for what kind of clothes you wear, if you go to the store and you pick out one kind as opposed to another, you've made a creative decision. When you go into a person's home, I've never gone into anyone's home where they literally had nothing on the wall at all. Like not even any paint. At least somewhere along the way they chose some paint, or, I go into your grandma's home and she's got all kinds of little tchotchkes all over the place. And, she chose all of those things. And, or you go into your grandfather's shop and he's got all these like really old woodworking tools that he doesn't use, but they're up on the wall. That's a creative choice. It's a creative decision to do that. Everybody does this. Everybody is creative in this way. I was watching an interview with Meryl Streep, the great actor, and she, I think it might have been inside the actor's studio, and at one point the audience got to ask questions, and somebody stood up and they were like, an aspiring actor themselves, and they asked Meryl Streep, they said they've done all these other things, and would you recommend that I become an actor? And without missing a beat, as I recall, Meryl Streep said, if you need any kind of external validation, anyone telling you that yes, you should become an actor, then I would advise you not to become an actor, because it's the kind of thing that, like, it can't be like that. It's not going to work out that way. It's the kind of thing that, like, the whole world is going to tell you not to do it. The whole world is going to go tell you to go get a real job, and this is a pipe dream, and this and that. And if you need anything from anyone else to validate this for you, it's going to be hard going. And it's got to be the kind of thing that no matter what anyone else says, you're going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter about anything else. You're going to do it. And I think being an artist is a lot like that. When it comes to being an artist, it's kind of, I think, programmed into us to need this special permission. When I'm saying art is not special, I mean that. It's not special because it is, in a way, the most common thing. I mean, it's on cave walls from thousands of years ago. It's in the way that you decorate your home, etc., like I said. But it's, in that way, a very common and democratic endeavor. But it is also very special because it's the kind of thing that lifts us out of the mundane. It lifts us out of the mundane and the ordinary and the boring. You could even say it might be the one thing that really separates us from non-human animals. It's also special because it represents and it reflects the very best qualities of humanity. This ability to enrich our lives and all of this. And the thing is, we all have the capacity to do it, all of us. And therefore, I would say all that's required to be an artist is for you to say, I'm an artist. That's the only criteria, really. You give yourself permission to do that. And if you don't believe me about that, and you think there's something else to it, well, think of this. If we need some kind of permission to be bestowed upon us, then who is it that does the bestowing? Who gives the permission? You might say it's society and it's the world. Well, okay. Well, how do they do that then? Is it by you're making a lot of money from the art? That the world is telling you that, yes, now you're an artist. Look at all this money you've made from it. Or it might be that, you're very famous and you go to art openings and everybody's like, whoa, that's blah, blah, blah. Or, you have a 60 Minutes piece done about you because, you're a famous artist. Maybe it's that you have some kind of a large following, so your Instagram is really huge, and you don't even really have to do anything. Well, I would say that. What about Van Gogh? And I'm just going to say Van Gogh instead of that other way to pronounce it because I can't do it like that. And what about Van Gogh? Vincent Van Gogh, was he only an artist after he died? Like before he died, he just wasn't even an artist. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. It's true that you might not make a lot of money from your art. And you might not sell any of your art. You might not be famous because of your art. You might not have a large audience or any audience or a following from your art. But I would just say, to that end, BlackRock, they make a lot of money. A lot of money. So there's money. The New Jersey Housewives, they were famous. They were famous. Hitler, Jim Jones, Tammy Faye Baker, they all had a horribly devoted following, all of them. So much for money and fame and audience and following. None of that really means anything of substance. It doesn't have any substantial value. And take fame. I remember when I lived in New York, sometimes I would come in through the Lincoln Tunnel, and when you go through the Helix there is there's a big billboard. And at the time that I lived there was a show on, I think, Discovery called Growing Up Gotti. And it was all about the Gotti grandkids and daughter of John Gotti, the mobster. And their faces were all over Manhattan there for a time. And I watched about 10 seconds of that show one time. And if that doesn't tell you that being famous literally has zero value, I don't know what to tell you. So I think all of those examples, the money made by various entities, the fame of various people, the following of all kinds of horrible things, shows the emptiness of all that. And none of that really has anything to do with artistry and the work of artists. So, to that end, I would say keep on making art, keep on creating, keep on taking the long way home, and just know that if you choose to be, then you are indeed an artist. That's what I think. Okay, I think that about does it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications. And if you found this content useful, consider joining me over at my Patreon. Your support there is most appreciated and helps me to continue making this content. I have some free stuff on there coming up and some more free stuff coming up, some sample packs, things like that. Let me know what you think about all this. What's your take? Okay. As always, thanks for listening and have a great day.